Hey guys, it's 80's Everything here, and today I am going to do a movie review on the 1986 Disney movie, The Flight of the Navigator. Before I get started in this video, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and turning on the post notification bell so you will never miss an upload. Just a couple disclaimers before I get started in this video. Number 1, I own no rights to the background music or the images displayed to the right or left of me in this YouTube video. And 2, there is going to be a spoiler alert for this YouTube video if you haven't seen the movie The Flight of the Navigator. But here's what you could do. You could watch my movie review, get some insight on what the movie is about, and then you could say like, I'm thinking about watching it. And yeah, that's what you could do. Anyway, on with the video. Now, the movie The Flight of the Navigator is about this boy named David Freeman, and he lives in 1978. But then one day he goes to get his brother, and he passes out, and then he wakes up 8 years later in 1986, and he tries to get back home, and that's the basic plot of the movie. Now on to some scenes that I like from the movie. Now the movie starts off with these dogs and a frisbee, and what I thought the frisbee was I thought the frisbee was the spaceship that David is going to go in later on in the movie. But it wasn't. It was frisbees at a dog tournament. And it also has Alan Silverstein, who is the composer for the movie Back to the Future, which I thought was really neat. And also, when I was reading about this movie, it said that I thought it was actually a 1978 movie, and I was like, oh, I can't review that because it's 70s. But what I didn't know is that it takes place in 1978 for a little bit, and then goes later into 8 years for 1986. And I just wanted to tell you that. And also there are some scenes that I really do not like. I actually really do not like them. There's this one scene where David's brother, I forgot his name already, but his brother is talking to his dog, and David is like, no, my dog is not dumb. And then David's brother is like, how about, and then it says a specific other word that I thought was really, really bad, even for Disney standards. Like, Disney is all about family friendly. Like, it has a little bit of swearing in the movie, and it is PG, and it was a different time. But that specific R word wasn't used as another thing, but I just thought that was like low for Disney, and I didn't really like that word being used. And but then they get home from the dog tournament, and after they get home, they're gonna light some fireworks off because it's the 4th of July, and then David's brother is out with some of his friends, and and David's brother is 9 years old, and David is 12 years old. And David goes to look for his brother, and then his brother pops out of the forest, and no, not the forest. He pops out of the woods and scares him. And then David is like, "Oh, why'd you do that?" And then David is also with his dog, and then there is like a sump in the woods that David falls in, and he passes out. And then it cuts, and then it cuts away. And at first I thought we were gonna see a spaceship pick him up, but there was no spaceship. So I was kind of like, okay, why isn't there a spaceship here? And then it cuts to David walking home, and now it's 1986, and he goes to what he thought is his house, but there are other people living there in 1986. And when I was first watching this movie, I was watching it at night, and sometimes when I watch movies at night, I kind of get creeped out if they have like sci-fi elements, or if I watch like some other movies that are like really old, like I kind of get creeped out by them. And then the people that live in the house call the police to pick David up. And then the police are talking to David, and David's in the cop car, and they're trying to go to David's new house. And there's one police officer that's saying, "Well, who's the president right now?" And then I just got to thinking, in Back to the Future, where Doc Brown says to Marty McFly, "Well, tell me, future boy, who's president in 1985? And he says Ronald Reagan, and I just thought that was a little funny nod in my head to Back to the Future. And then David's parents take him to a hospital. Well, actually, he goes back into the cop car after seeing his parents and seeing how their faces changed. And then after that, he goes into a hospital, and he doesn't know he's in a hospital. And then they have to run all these tests on him, and then his younger brother comes in, and he was 9 in 1978, and now he's 17 in 1986, because 8 years has passed. And David is supposed to be 20, but he hasn't changed at all. He's still a 12-year-old boy. So then after that, he gets out of the hospital, and then there is a doctor, a specialist, and he wants to keep David for 2 days and do some more testing on him to find out why he hasn't aged at all and all this other stuff. And so David agrees, and then he gets to the other hospital, stays there for 2 days, and also in the hospital, there is this robot called Ralph, and I thought, like, what is this? Like, is this a robot or what? And it's actually a robot that delivers food to you in the movie. So that's kind of cool. So after the robot comes, um, and then a day passes, David is getting tested on by the doctor, and he's hooked up to all of these wires on his head, and there's actually an alien, uh, or there's actually an alien or something other than an alien talking to him, and when he's telling the events of how he fell, the alien or the computer is talking to them for David, and then the doctors are like, "Oh man, the doctors have been trying to crack this code for years," but David doesn't know that, and I was like, "Ooh, a subplot," and I was really getting into the movie at that point, like really, and then after that, David is mad at them, and so he leaves with the robot Ralph, and he goes out to where the spaceship actually is, and that kind of got me thinking, wait, how can this robot travel, I think, like 2-3 miles outside of the doctor's of the specialist's office, and get into where the spaceship is? So that kind of got me like thinking a little bit. And then David gets into the spaceship, and actually the spaceship has no doors, like you can't get inside, only David could activate it. And then there is this voice who is talking to him, and what I think is like Star Wars language, and I'm like, what? He's talking to him in Star Wars language, and then he talks to him in English, and then he tells David to sit down, and then David sits, and then the computer in the spaceship is talking to him, and then David asks, like, to get out of here, and then David asks all of these things, and the robot is like, okay, and he says, oh, compliance, and because David is in control, and I just thought that was like very funny, like every time he says compliance, because he says it like that, the way I said it just now. And then when he's actually out of the facility and he's outside to where the spaceship is, David says to just go 20 miles up and out of here, and the computer doesn't take that like 20 miles left or right. They literally go up 20 miles, zooming fast into space. And I was like, what? Like, wow. Like, and then David says, not outer space, like 20 miles to the left. And the robot says, compliance. And then they go back down to Earth, and then they zoom on past 20 miles to the left. And then helicopters are searching for David, and then the spaceship takes him a lot of places that he controls, um, and the zooming just everywhere, and then the spaceship actually collects other animals from other planets, and now the reason why he wanted David was because he wanted to see how like his mind worked, and now I'm saying this just basing it off of my memory of the movie. um he wanted to figure out like how his mind worked, and a lot of other stuff with humans. And so David is asking what all of these animals are, and then there's one animal that hasn't eaten in I don't know how many days, but he hasn't eaten in a long time. And then he just jumps up and eats David's hat. And I was like, and I actually jumped too. I was like, what? And cause I was just shocked. Um, and and yeah, and And then there is this one scene where David goes to a Gator store because they live in Florida, and there's an employee, and David asks to use the phone. But later on in the scene, David goes back to the spaceship, and he flies back up, and the employee was like, that little boy just wanted a phone home. And then I was thinking of E.T. and E.T. phone home. Yeah. Off topic, but E.T. is actually scary. I watch it, and every time I'm like, because it's just really scary. I'm thinking about it right now, and I'm just getting creeped out right now. But then um David David is flying through the sky, and he is trying to find his home, and then David finds his home, his parents, and then he gets out of the spaceship, and he tells his parents that he loves them, and then but he can't be in this timeline. He has to go back to 1978. And earlier in the movie, when the spaceship is talking to David, he says that he couldn't get him back to his time because it would cause a lot of repercussions. So something kind of like with Back to the Future. So then I was thinking, because the spaceship took him to another planet, but it was in solar hours, it was 2.2 hours away. So then I was thinking, then why did you send him 8 years into the future? Then why did you send him 8 years into the future, and you couldn't just send him back to 1978? Like, wow, spaceship, wow. And then David gets home, and it's 1978 again, and then they go out, the family goes out on their boat, the 4th of July fireworks, and that is how the movie ends. And also, with Alan Silverstein composing the music for this movie, I noticed some similarities to Back to the Future's music. I noticed some similarities where in Back to the Future it goes like um and then it does that also in Flight of the Navigator. And when I heard that, I was like, yep, I'm hearing that Back to the Future jingle a little bit. And guys, that's gonna be it for this whole YouTube video. Thank you so much for watching this video, and subscribe to get epic 80s content on my YouTube channel, and like this video and comment down what your favorite 80s movie is, and if it's available, then maybe I'll review it. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. Bye.